Welcome to another edition of Foreign Affairs Focus. I'm joined today by Ed Morse, the Global Head of Commodities Research at Citi, and the author of an article in our most recent issue about the shale revolution. So Ed, let's get straight to it. What is the shale revolution and why is it, to quote our cover, such a big fracking deal?
It's a big deal because there's an awful lot of shale rock. If you think about oil, there's a simple way to define the geology. There's the original source rock, which is pure shale. And then at the other end, there's the leaked hydrocarbon molecules that are trapped, usually by sedimentary rock. That's what we think of as conventional oil. Large quantities under a lot of pressure gushes out. In between, there's semi-porous rock. There's a lot of it. It's all over the place. The shale revolution is about finding ways through fracking and finding ways through seismic technology to find this rock, to drill it, access it, and get it out of the ground. And there's an awful lot of it around.
And it's dramatically transformed the American energy landscape in the past 5 years or so, as you argue. Yet you also say that we ain't seen nothing yet, so to speak. Why is that?
Well, it's dramatically changed the landscape because there's so much of it. We've increased our gas production by more than 30%, a lot more to come, probably 200 years worth. Oil production by 60%. But more is to come because it isn't over in America. We're probably going to see much more growth in the future than we've seen in the past, and it's going to spread around the world. So it is truly a transformative phenomenon, tapping into an energy resource that people knew was there but didn't know how to get access to.
And one of the things you write in your article is that this is a, quote, made in America phenomenon. Why is that?
It's made in America for three reasons. There are three unique aspects about it. First of all, we've got a lot of greedy entrepreneurs who like to experiment with drilling techniques. They experimented with fracking. We have 10,000 potential fracking companies in the U.S., 10,000 producers, filled with greedy, aggressive, entrepreneurial people. Secondly, we have capital markets where these greedy entrepreneurs don't have the cash flow, but the financial services sector provides the capital. They get a lot of the rents from it, and they participate in the risk. And thirdly, we have something that is really uniquely America, and that is we have ownership of resources under the ground. We're the only country in the world where this really can happen, and people lease their mineral rights and participate in the profits too. So these three things are not replicable in any other country in the world.
Yet you also argue, as you said, that it'll spread internationally. Where will it spread and how much?
Well, it could be a very large spread. We know that the technically recoverable resources in Russia on the oil side are greater than those in the US. On the gas side, they're greater in China than in the US. So what needs to be found is some functional equivalent of these three elements, the entrepreneurial element, the financial element, and the ownership of the resources. And that can be dealt with by fiscal regime change. So we're already seeing other countries having shale. On the oil side, the U.S. produces 3.2 million barrels a day of oil out of shale. Canada's number 2 with about 350,000 barrels a day. Argentina's number 3 with about 10,000 barrels a day. And it's just starting. It's going to spread to Mexico, to Brazil, to Russia. Saudi Arabia even has shale gas, and they're now producing enough shale gas to fuel their first very small, albeit power generating system. And recently in China, they've harnessed shale gas as well.
Now, when you talk about fracking, I think a lot of people think of the environmental implications of that. How real are the risks, and what, if anything, can be done to mitigate them?
Sure, there are real risks. There are identifiable risks. There are risks associated with water supply, with the integrity of the water supply. There are risks involving above ground waste. This is a very trucking intensive business. Trucks tend to spread a lot of diesel waste on the ground. Truck drivers tend to have a higher than normal concentration of alcoholism and drug abuse, so drivers get to be very sloppy. And there's risk of earthquakes, actually, from improper disposal of fracking fluids underneath the Earth's surface. All of these can be mitigated. Probably the worst of the risks is really methane emission. Methane is the most lethal of greenhouse gases. That requires regulation. Some places don't have it. Some places are unlikely to have it. Some places may have too much. So we in New York State have seen it being banned altogether. In some states, the regulations are not as tight as they could be. Pennsylvania, which, by the way, now is the largest gas-producing entity in the world, bigger than Qatar, bigger than the Amal Peninsula in Russia, has now very tight regulations. So there's a balance, and populations and democracies have ways of expressing their view. Sometimes they'll end up not wanting it in their own backyard, and sometimes they'll want it because the employment benefits, the tax receipt benefits, tend to be pretty great.
Fascinating stuff. Ed Morse, thank you very much for joining us today.